Good afternoon everybody, it's your pal Martin Millett here, hope you're going well. It's that time of year again, it's that time when the folks in Cleveland announce who is nominated for the 2026 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and so this begins the infamous fan vote. Now in the past, the artist who got the large amount of votes wasn't always inducted, because I can clearly remember one time there was a Nigerian musician who got heaps of fan votes. Feliz, I can't think his name, but he wasn't inducted yet. So let's go through the nominees for this year. Okay, we've got Sade, a combination of Joy Division and New Order, Luther Vandross, INXS, Phil Collins, Pink, Jeff Buckley, Billy Idol, Mariah Carey, New Edition, The Black Crowes, Shakira, Wu-Tang Clan, Lauryn Hill, Oasis, Iron Maiden, and Melissa Etheridge. Mixed bag of nominees this year of many different genres like pop, rock, R&B, metal, post-punk, I guess you could say. Yeah, so I'm gonna go talk about them one by one. Now, Sade's been eligible for over 25 years. If she was to get inducted, she would be like the second African artist after Dave Matthews to be inducted to the Rock and Roll of Fame, because she's from Nigeria. She's more R&B, less rock and roll. So that's how I think about it. Joy Division, New Order, I really don't understand why they have to combine both bands on like one vote. You know, Joy Division happened first, and then sadly the lead singer passed away, and then it became New Order. Both artists could have actually been inducted a long time ago. They've been eligible for yonks. I believe so. Joy Division and New Order have been eligible since the noughties. Luther Vandross, an R&B singer, not rock and roll. He died over 20 years ago after having a stroke a couple of years ago. Quite iconic, because he got his start by singing on a David Bowie album, because he was originally a backup singer for David Bowie, but then he became a lead singer. But it's not really rock and roll to me, so I wouldn't really say that. INXS, oh my god. When I was 20 years old, I started a petition to get INXS into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and it's taken 21 years for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to basically say, oh, let's consider this Australian band to be eligible for a nomination. There's only been one Australian band that has been inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and that is AC/DC. Because there's been a lot of Australian artists who have been successful in America, let's say Kylie Minogue, Men at Work, Midnight Oil. The Bee Gees were considered Australian because they started their career in Australia, and they've also been inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But the Bee Gees had their career mostly in Britain and America, and not Australia. But I mean, yeah, they were born in the Isle of Man. They moved to Australia. They started their career in Australia. But then after the first single, they actually emigrated back to the United Kingdom. So I could say yes, there have been two Australian artists in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Just sadly, INXS has been eligible for over 20 years, and they are rock and roll. They got a fusion of like different genres: pop, rock, new wave. And it's been coming up, like next year will be 30 years since Michael Hutchins passed on, so they bloody well should be inducted this time. Phil Collins. Phil Collins has been eligible since the noughties. But the thing was, they wouldn't induct Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins into Rock and Roll Hall of Fame until they inducted Genesis. Now, Genesis was inducted finally after 25 years of waiting. It's 17 years of waiting, yes, because Genesis were eligible in 1993, but then they weren't inducted until 2010. So when Genesis was inducted, only the Phil Collins era lineup, without Steve Hackett and without Peter Gabriel, turned up. So Peter Gabriel was inducted as a solo artist in 2014, and now I think, yes, it is time to induct Phil Collins. Pink, yes, it's been Pink's actually been eligible for a couple of years now, because her first recordings I remember was 2000. So you gotta be, it's 25 years. after the first recordings. So Pink is like second year eligible. She should be inducted to the Rock Hall of Fame because they've inducted other rock chicks like Pat Benatar, Stevie Nicks, and Olivia Ronstadt. Really irritating there's no Olivia Newton-John in the Hall of Fame, and Owen J have been eligible for now 30 years. Jeff Buckley. Now, Jeff Buckley only put out one album in his lifetime and tragically passed away, but his legacy has been able to live on for the last 30 years, even though his most famous song was basically a cover of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. He should be inducted, even though it's more like of a sympathy vote, because if there's a sympathy vote to induct people who died, then yes, someone like Sandy Denny should be in the Rock Hall of Fame with either Fairport Convention or on her own. I don't understand why Sandy Denny has been inducted to the Rock Hall of Fame, but it tends to be that you have to be popular in America to be inducted to the Rock Hall of Fame. But if they had nominated that Nigerian singer who didn't get inducted, well, it turns out you don't really have to be popular in America to be put into the Rock Hall of Fame. You just have to be influential in the field of rock and roll. Billy Idol. Yes, Billy Idol should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago, even though his career was mostly in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I clearly remember watching Billy Idol at the NRL Grand Final in 2002, and then a blackout happened, which screwed up his set. So that was a disaster. Mariah Carey. It's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, not the Rappers and Pops Hall of Fame. The only thing I ever known that Mariah Carey has done, which is rock and roll, was have Vernon Reid of Living Colour play a guitar solo on one of her songs in 1990. Even though Mariah Carey has covered I Want to Know What Love Is by Foreigner, Bring On the Heartbreak by Def Leppard, and Open Arms by Journey. Doesn't belong in the Rock Hall of Fame. New Edition. The only thing I know about New Edition is they had Bobby Brown, who ends up marrying Whitney Houston. I don't know anything about New Edition, and so they're an R&B group, so they don't really belong in the Rock Hall of Fame. Black Crowes. A band, I just scrolled past on Instagram today, and I was like, I've never ever heard of this group before. And I mean, I guess you could say I've been living under a rock, but I don't listen to modern music. I stopped listening to today's music around 2008. Yeah. Shakira. Shakira had a career before she started singing in English, because she started a career in the 90s in singing Spanish, and she started releasing albums in English. And then she's released albums in both Spanish and English. But she's not really that rock and roll to me, I guess. I don't think any of her music is even rock and roll at all. Okay, Wu-Tang Clan, no. I'm really sick and tired of fucking rappers and poppers being nominated and being inducted into the Rock Hall of Fame over stuff like Thin Lizzy, Soundgarden, even though Soundgarden was inducted last year, Iron Maiden, Motorhead, yeah. There are so many worthy artists who should be in the Rock Hall of Fame, as I said, like Sandy Denny, Olivia Newton-John, but to induct shit like Wu-Tang Clan, or to induct Whitney Houston over, let's say, Thin Lizzy and Soundgarden and Motorhead, that's just fucking bonkers. Okay, Lauryn Hill. We all know this is Lauryn Hill solo, not to do with the Fugees, which is quite weird how they nominated Lauryn Hill before the Fugees. Lauryn Hill only ever put out that one album in the 90s, and then had this disastrous MTV Unplugged performance, and she's yet to put out an album since then. I guess she's done some work with the Fugees, she's done some performances, but she's just... I don't want to compare her to Kate Bush, but it's just type of artists who take forever to put out albums, which is quite irritating to the public, because they were like, well, Dr. Dre hasn't probably put out an album since Chronic. That's just my example of or let's just say Kate Bush's last studio album was 2011, and here we are in 2026. No new Kate Bush music for 15 years. Oasis have been nominated once before, and they should have actually just been a shoo-in. They were nominated for Grammys. They had their success in America, but it's kind of funny how they've been able to get back together recently and reform the tour. So they should be inducted to Rock Hall of Fame because they are a rock band. Iron Maiden. Yes, Iron Maiden should have been nominated in the noughties and inducted then when they were eligible, not been passed over for crap like Jay-Z. But in my opinion, Bruce Dickinson has slagged off the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the past. Basically just criticized them because his band hasn't been inducted. And you gotta think about it, so many legends have been passed over for pieces of shit. So Iron Maiden, praise God, Hashem, that Iron Maiden gets inducted this year. And then last on the list, Melissa Etheridge, a pure rock chick. This woman has been putting music out since the 80s. She's been eligible for Yonks. She needs to be inducted into the Rock Hall of Fame. She's a fantastic musician, a rock star. She won the Grammy for Best Female Rock Performance about twice. She won an Oscar for Best Original Song for I Need to Wake Up. I remember when that song came out. Great advocacy towards LGBTQ+, because she came out as a lesbian only a few years into her career. So she definitely should be in the Rock and Roll of Fame. It would be quite amazing this year if they were to induct both Pink and Melissa Etheridge. I just think that'd be quite great. So voting is now. Start your voting. You got maybe 2 to 3 months until the polls close. Get voting, get voting, get voting. But let me remind you all. This is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, not the Rappers and Poppers Hall of Fame. I have to keep explaining this every year. And we always be moaning every year about, oh, so-and-so band hasn't been inducted. If you want to get an artist into the Rock Hall of Fame, do what I do, write a letter. I wrote a letter in 2005 to Hall of Fame to induct Pat Benatar. And even though it took 18 years, it happened. Or start a petition. Just start a movement getting signatures, and then send a petition of over 1,000 signatures to the Rock Hall of Fame saying, look, a band like Motorhead should be in the Rock Hall of Fame. They influenced all the thrash bands. Go figure. Metallica's in the Rock Hall of Fame before Motorhead, Iron Maiden, and Thin Lizzy. Outrageous. Mine the Metalhead, over and out.